So if our research is correct, we believe that the entire ecosystem associated with autonomous taxi networks is going to be worth $8 to $10 trillion in terms of revenue generation in the next 5 to 10 years. And if you want to put that in context, the entire GDP of the world today is about 130 trillion. So 10 trillion is going to move the needle.
Hey guys, welcome to Everyday Finance. Cathie Wood is raising the alarm about what is going to happen in the cryptocurrency space in the near future, and she is increasing her efforts. As a result of the fact that there is only a limited quantity of bitcoins that are still available for mining, and the fact that demand from major institutions is rapidly increasing, she believes that the conditions are ideal for an explosive breakout. This momentum is quietly but powerfully building, despite the fact that prices have been moving sideways recently. Ark Invest is also not slowing down. They are purchasing additional digital assets, which is a strong indication of their confidence in a recovery that is driven by technology. Cathie believes that this is the beginning of a significant capital shift, which will occur when there is a combination of scarcity and surging demand. She believes that this combination will create a Bitcoin move that is so swift and aggressive that it cannot be ignored. This is not a typical bull cycle. Rather, she believes that it will be a turning point that will be characterized by speed, strength, and attention from all over the world. The most recent analysis that she has provided outlines the timeline, the signals that she is monitoring, and the reasons why she believes that the most significant gains in Bitcoin are just around the corner.
Now that the world is moving so quickly into this new world, and Bitcoin has become so successful an investment, many people are trying to figure out, okay, how do I get involved with the new world? And when I say get on the right side of change, we think there's going to be a lot of disruption to the traditional world order. And when I say that in terms of people understanding what I mean, I think many people think Apple is a very safe investment because huge hoard of cash, very successful smartphone, number one market share of smartphones in terms of profitability by far. And yet we can tell you, and this is one of what's called the Mag 6 that led the stock market over the last few years.
The top 6 stocks.
The top 6 stocks. The market was very narrowly focused on this ilk of stock. And we were saying, you know what? Apple is probably going to be disrupted by artificial intelligence. And one of the reasons we started asking questions very early is, what is the ultimate mobile device? Ultimately, it's going to be an autonomous vehicle. Apple should have been all over that, and they were trying, and we saw one management turnover after another. This is an AI project, and what we were learning as they were turning that team over time and again is they weren't getting AI right. They were not positioning correctly.
You're concerned for Apple?
I think Apple, it has so much cash. It has such a loyal customer base. It will be fine, but maybe its revenue growth has slowed to almost nothing. And so maybe it'll be a mature cash cow. That's not what we do. We invest in technologically enabled disruptive innovation. AI is the biggest technological disruption in history. And if they're not going to get it right, we're not going to be there. Many people used to invest in AI through one stock. That was NVIDIA. That was the check the box. I own the GPU, the chip manufacturer, which is the most important chip manufacturer in the AI age. And its valuation, meaning its price relative to earnings, really got up to very heady levels. And we were saying, at the time, well, if NVIDIA's valuation is correct, there are going to be a lot of other winners. Who are they? Well, our largest position in the flagship strategy, ARKK, is Tesla. And as we were trying to help people understand why we were swapping away from NVIDIA to stocks like Tesla and Palantir, which is a software provider, we were trying to explain that this new world around AI is going to happen very quickly. And Tesla is the largest AI project on Earth. I posted that on X, and Elon liked it, so it must be true. But it is true if our research is correct. We believe that the entire ecosystem associated with autonomous taxi networks is going to be worth $8 to $10 trillion in terms of revenue generation in the next 5 to 10 years. And if you want to put that in context, the entire GDP of the world today is about 130 trillion. So 10 trillion is going to move the needle.
There are three powerful forces that are fueling the unstoppable rise of Bitcoin, and Cathie Wood breaks them down. To begin, she draws attention to a shift that is occurring across generations. Younger investors are abandoning gold in favor of Bitcoin as their primary means of storing value. How come? Because Bitcoin's supply is hard-capped and programmatically shrinking, with fewer than 1 million coins left to be mined. While the supply of both assets is scarce, Bitcoin's supply is also hard-capped. The second point is that the demand from institutions is rapidly gaining momentum. A technological asset that is not correlated to traditional markets such as stocks and bonds, Bitcoin is not simply a store of value. Rather, it is a technological asset. When the system was under pressure, such as during the banking crisis of the 2023, Bitcoin remained stable. This is one of the primary reasons why major funds are currently re-evaluating the role that Bitcoin plays in modern portfolios. Third, there is a rapidly widening gap between the supply and demand conditions. Given that there is only approximately $100 billion worth of future supply left, institutions are left with two choices. Either they can accumulate coins gradually, or they can offer higher prices in order to entice coins from strong hands. Cathie believes that this collision of scarcity and capital is just getting started, and that the foundation for a massive and long-term appreciation in price is already well underway.
I think that surprised him. So I have many thoughts about this. Our government has become so bloated, it is scary. And our indebtedness is growing. And if we want to remain the reserve currency of the world, we're at risk of losing it. And on our tail is the whole digital asset world, right? So government spending is taxation. It's either taxation that's going to happen immediately, or will happen in the future, or will happen through inflation, which is the most regressive tax at all. So I think the sentiment was right in terms of getting in there and seeing what technology can do for the government, which is really what's happening. I'm watching it in the FDA, how they're starting to use AI. It's phenomenal what's happening. So the question I usually get, so I'm very happy that half of the solution is understanding the problem, that someone is in there with that focus and determination. He, of course, has said he's stepping away this month, as a matter of fact, to spend more time with his companies.
Which you must be happy about.
Well, of course I'm happy about it, but I have, with the exception of this political dynamic, I don't think that Elon not being there on a day-to-day basis is what has caused the problem in the first quarter. It was much more macro. We had a negative quarter in real GDP growth in the first quarter. So macro, which is hitting everyone, and the overlay of this political dynamic. The news cycle, thank goodness, moves fast. And so we'll be through that, I think. And by the way, there are news reports even this weekend saying those who were feeling about him, as it relates to Doge and, one party, are having a change of heart because tax rates are going to come down because we're being more disciplined on the government spending side. Elon's way of managing his companies is to attract the best and the brightest, not only scientists, engineers, but also business people. These are people who want to solve the hardest problems in the world. He sets a timeline that seems reasonable to him for milestones to occur. And he doesn't interfere unless they start missing those milestones or the timing of those milestones. Then he gets involved. And that's where you hear he'll go in and he'll just fire people wholesale and get the program going again. And he's done that certainly at Tesla. He's done that at all of his companies. And so he's really troubleshooter in chief. Once he understands and has set a strategy, he then becomes troubleshooter in chief.
Have you met him?
Oh, yes, we did actually. Our first podcast with him was in 2019.
Oh, I saw that one
during production hell.
Yeah.
And we were so happy. So as you know, we have a social strategy. So we push our research out through social media as we give it away or as we're evolving it. And he liked a piece of research that Tasha Keeney had put out on autonomous back then. And I was on a phone call I couldn't get off, but I heard this whooping and screaming through the office. And I thought it sounded good. It wasn't an emergency, so I didn't have to leave that call. But I got out. I said, "What happened?" "Elon." And I said, "Okay, ask him if we can do a podcast." And we were there the next week.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
What do you think of him as an entrepreneur?
I think he's the Thomas Edison of our age in terms of his innovative ingenuity. And I also think, having met him a number of times, I think he's a very good person. He wants to do the right thing. If I had to say one thing, he wants to do the right thing to transform the lot of most of humanity. And he started with Tesla, SpaceX and Tesla. Tesla, was an environmental move, which I think a lot of people attacking his cars, who are probably very supportive of the environmental movement, they've forgotten. Sending a rocket to Mars and with humanoid robots and ultimately people, he thinks will transform life on Earth as well. Because as we've learned from space history, what we learn about material science and technologies that help us break through into these very difficult problems to solve is going to help us here on Earth as well. So I think he's a very good person and wants to do the right thing. That, if I had to describe him, that's what I say, other than genius of our time.
Increasing amounts of capital are pouring into cryptocurrency, and institutional investors are driving this next leg up. According to Cathie Wood, who says the floodgates are opening, as she views this surge not just as a price move, but as solid confirmation that Bitcoin is here to stay, both as a long-term asset and as protection against weakening fiat currencies. She is predicting that it will experience massive gains over the next 3 months. In light of the fact that new crypto legislation is gaining traction in Congress and that momentum is picking up internationally, she is encouraging the companies in her portfolio to go all in while the upside in the market is still enormous. According to her, the investment strategy of ARK, which is focused on technology, is capitalizing on a potential opportunity worth $7 to $8 trillion, which still accounts for less than 10% of the global equity landscape. She believes that decentralized finance is not just growing, but that it is on a path to fundamentally replace traditional banking and financial systems. This belief is based on the acceptance of digital currencies by an increasing number of emerging markets.